Hi, I'm Ali Patterson, and welcome to another episode of the Fintech Show. On this episode, we look at the security of data and how the large amounts of information collected on customers can help to improve the services they receive. We also explore how companies can keep up with the pace of innovation within this digital age of banking. Firstly, we sit down with thought leaders to discuss the benefits of meeting customer needs and why banks and insurers should really care about the customer experience.
I guess you have to take it back to what banks really care about. That's money. There's no shame in that. Without financial services and banking and things like that, there'd be no need for any of it. So I'm perfectly happy with them caring about making money, saving money, and trying to retain the money that they've already got. But you can only do that in two ways. You either try and race to the bottom, you offer the best mortgage rates, the best loan rates, the best credit card rates, the highest interest on your savings accounts, things like that, which is a dangerous place to be for banks. Or you try and build relationships with your customers. And if you're building your relationships with your customers, you're going to get the trust from them. You're going to get advocacy from them. You're going to get people saying to their friends, go out and have one of those accounts because it's fantastic. We've got a really good relationship with that bank. And you're going to get the point where customers aren't actually looking at other organisations when they've got another financial need. They're just going to go, I bank with this bank, I have a good relationship with them, I'll go with them. They're going to be able to make more money from them. If you're going to build relationships with your customers, you cannot do that unless you've got a really world-class customer experience. People will talk about how they feel about the banks as they're doing things. They won't really care about necessarily the end result anywhere near as much as they will how they felt as they were getting that product or as they were being serviced with that product. That's the customer experience, and that's how you make that money from the banks, or you save better money.
Customer experience, improving customer experience is extremely important for a bank. To be honest, we are in a commodity business, so the experience customers get with the way they are served is the main reason for them to bank with us. And we do that on different levels, so you have customer experience offline, basically in our branches, but of course also the customer experience you have online or on the telephone. So on all these levels we are working, and in my area within the bank we are mostly focused on the digital customer experience.
What are some of the key ingredients to deliver that great experience for banks? Is it all about what sort of a face-to-face channel? Is it all about digital? What's the recipe?
Actually, the wording's probably really important there because it's really easy to deliver a great customer experience for banks. The problem is delivering consistent great experiences for banks. If you want to deliver one, you just throw an absolute stack of cash at something, streamline the process, make it all look sparkly, and then you market the heck out of it. You claim phenomenally well that you can do a loan in 5 minutes. Well, that's great, but what happens once they've got the loan? If the experience just drops off the edge of a cliff, then you've lost all the benefit that you gain. So the real skill is in creating those consistent customer experiences that are world class. In order to do that, you need to do two things. Firstly, you need to understand all of your customers. There's lots and lots of different types of customers that bank, and they all want different things. It's not that everyone wants a digital channel or that everyone wants a branch channel. There's actually a lot of research that we've seen recently that suggests that even digital customers will want to go into branches quite a lot for certain things. You can only actually create the level of experience that you need once you've got that understanding by being consistent across every channel, a true omni-channel experience. And that's incredibly difficult to do for banks at the moment because of the complex legacy systems that they've got. But they can get there.
It's all about product, right? So business is product driven, right? So they first need to focus on what people want, right, and how they want it, and then build it. And then to support the product, you need to have, I don't know, risk systems, compliance systems, support, and so on, right? They're actually kind of, building it like in a reverted way. So they first build compliance, then support, then risk systems, then, finance systems. And then when everything is built, they try to wrap a product across it, which is the wrong approach because the result is not what people expect, right? Because people don't care like about, I don't know, compliance or finance system or controls, right? They care about what they see and how they use it.
As a customer, insurance is a bit of a grudge purchase, so it's something that I have to buy rather than have fun about or enjoy. So we're trying to get better products. So this year we've introduced multi-car, which is something that our customers do need and have responded really well to. We've introduced new landlord products, we've introduced new home products. So we are responding in a way that our customers require. And also we want to make it an easy purchase, something that's, when claims are made, it's a much easier interaction than it's been traditionally. So we've introduced things like image upload for car damage, and also we're looking for the future to say, well, if you could send us some photographs of your broken car or your damaged home, then we would be able to perhaps enable a claim to be settled within hours rather than within days or weeks.
Next up, we're exploring data and GDPR, what it means for trust, and how the amount of data collected on customers can be used to improve their personal experience.
So we're looking to be Britain's best loved insurer, and that is all about customer trust. So customers have to trust the way we treat their data. So GDPR for us, of course we have to meet the regulations. Of course we've got to do as the law requires, and naturally we're doing that. But for us, it's a reminder of customer trust is key. Customers want to know what we're doing with their data, how we're using it, and have every right to know that. So it's been a big reminder for us of how to gain trust. So of course we'll do the regulation, but we need to be looking after the data in the way that our customers want to.
Banks know a lot about their customers, and that's good, because especially for instance with fraud, we have to make sure that we know a lot to prevent fraud happening to you. But using that data to serve our customers better is an area where banks really have to find the right balance with what does the user want and when are we getting too close to Facebook and Google, to be honest. And I think that customers and users really appreciate us for having that right balance and also putting them fully in control. So what we are doing in that area is that we are developing a dashboard in our app, which is very easy to find, so it's not stuck away in the website, where people can actually choose what kind of level they would like to have and which kind of external apps they would like to connect, etc. The possibilities are basically endless, but we really want to make sure that the trust factor, where banks are key for, that we manage that very well. So what we will never do is to put these things automatically on, so you really have to choose to use it. And we will step up on those services. So what we are working on is all kinds of financial insights, which makes it easier for you to see how well you are spending your money. So one of the things we just recently launched in our app is how your cash flow develops. And of course, the next step on if you see how your cash flow develops is also to find out when you're going in the red area and when you basically have too much money on your account and what could you do then. But the more kind of interaction you create with your customer, the more relevant the experience becomes, but also the more you have to tap into what you know about the user there. And that's really an area where we always have to find the right balance between what is the user really asking for us there, instead of being too pushy. And that's, I think, where banks really will take a different proposition than where the big techs will take.
Finally, we look at the pace of innovation, how traditional banks are adapting to cater to a more modern audience, and what banks are doing to keep up with technological advancements. We also discuss with Quadient about where banks should look to begin their CX journey.
How can, say, a BBVA or an HSBC or a SocGen keep pace with these new entrants to the market?
I think the first thing they've got to do is not get too stressed about it. It's really easy with all the publicity of digital challenger banks to look at them and say they're in charge, they're the future, they're guaranteed to be successful and everyone else is going to fail. The reality is many of them are still governed by market capital. They are raising money to stay in business. They're not necessarily fully profitable. The profitable organisations are in a far stronger position. They've got a whole host of full banking products already available. They've got a whole host of data that these digital challenger banks don't have about the customer that they can use if they know how to use it to show that they really care. All they've got to do is change that mindset and say, okay, we're in a strong position. We've just got our own different challenges. Simplify that data, simplify their ability to get hold of that data very quickly. And all of a sudden, they've got all the benefits of a digital challenger bank without all the drawbacks of having a much smaller customer base and far less money to play with whenever they need to make a development.
Do you think there's opportunities for partnerships and acquisitions?
There are opportunities. I'm not sure that any of the biggest banks will take them up because I think they're spending enough money on their own digital propositions. Where we're likely to see mergers and acquisitions probably next year and the year after is in the medium and the smaller size banks saying we don't really have a great deal of investment yet in digital. Why don't we go and buy someone who's already invested in it rather than replacing all the stuff that we've already got?
With increasingly tech-savvy customers, keeping up with that pace of innovation and digital customer experience, how difficult is that and what are Rabobank doing to really improve that?
Yeah, that's a very, very important topic for us. So what you see is that we will get more competition within banking. And I think that's a good thing because it really makes banks take a step up. And especially the tech-savvy customers, they put the bar for us at the level of the big techs. And what we do to accomplish that is that we got a lot of input from these tech-savvy users on where we can improve our services. So the most important thing for us to do is to have interaction with them. Another thing which we are doing is that we are really stepping up in the area of user experience. So we are also not talking about customer experience in this company, but especially user experience. And the reason we're doing that is that banks traditionally, when they talk about customers, they talk about legal entities. And especially in the business area, that's, I think, a very wrong definition. Because if you are serving in a business area clients, then it's more important to understand our specific users. The CEO of a company with, for instance, 20 employees has totally different demands than somebody who's basically working in a bookkeeping department and who has to make sure that, for instance, the payments are done each day or salary payments are done. And so you really have to focus on what is the specific user need and do we have a proposition which really fits to that. And that's where we are really stepping up. So we are setting up a CX department which is much more focused on the users, which also has a lot of more knowledge about the users and there's more research than we did in the past. And also then applying that research into having a very clear vision on what should the customer experience and the user experience look like in the coming years. And then really align all those small teams on that user experience and improving it step by step. Not making big leaps because you see that users don't like that. They don't like a banking app which changes overnight. But we make sure that every change we make is also a change towards the user experience. The concept car we kind of developed where we want to be for our users, both in the consumer area as well as in the business area.
If a bank is starting its CX journey, where should they start?
You could start it in one of a million different places. At Quadient, we generally recommend that you start with something that's really, really highly visible. The likelihood is you've not already got the strategy signed off. You've not got the CEO fully on board. You're a small group that is trying to prove that customer experience is worthy of the CEO's attention. So do something that's very valuable, do something that's very visible, do something that's reasonably quick. So where I would always recommend is to start with customer communications. Take a look at the amount of paper that you sent out of your organisation, or if you're beyond paper, the amount of PDFs that you send out. How good's the language? How modern is it? Is it really what the customer wants to see? Is it really helping to drive your business and creating a midpoint in that conversation rather than just being a brain dump of information that you send to the customer and hope that they understand what to do with it? If you can change all of that and start to make it something that the customer wants to see, something that helps the customer, and something that will help the customer to drive the right behaviours, then they'll tell everyone about it. It's the sort of thing that's not necessarily expected from a bank, a really high quality, interactive customer communication. So they'll tell their friends, they'll put it on social media. It sounds ridiculous. Why would people put a statement or information about a statement, for instance, on social media? But they will do, if you can create an experience that is truly world-class for it. Once you've done that, people will start to take notice. And not only are they starting to take notice because the customer experience is right, they'll take notice because you've just saved a load of cash. You've got rid of a load of paper and print and postage from your organisation. And they'll start to say, okay, that person over there that's trying to improve customer experience, maybe we should be more like them. At that point, your CEO is going to start to take notice. And all of a sudden, you're starting that journey into a customer-obsessed organisation.
And is that driven more culturally or more through the technology? Or obviously it's not one or the other.
You have to start with the customer experience, not the technology. Otherwise, you end up looking at the technology and saying, okay, what are our limits, rather than what does the customer really want? But there are a whole host of customer experience technologies that can really help you, whether that's the journey mapping. So you're no longer limited to a big whiteboard with loads of post-it notes on it that is great at the time, but completely useless 5 minutes afterwards when everyone's left the room. You've got something that's completely collaborative, so you're really understanding the journey and putting it at the heart of every project. Or it could be the actual data, so the ability to retrieve that data quickly, to process it, to make sure that you're synchronizing the data across the different sources and you're working out which is accurate, so that you can then show how the customer's experience is improved. Or it could be the communication software itself. So start with the experience, but let technology help you. Don't start with the technology and find all the limitations as to why you can't deal with the customer experience.
That's it from us. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join us on the next episode of The Fintech Show.